We're going to get this show started with a friend of mine. He can be seen at the Camino Real Theater. He's been performing for years now. And please bring to the stage the wonderful, the funny Seth Sultan.
Okay, well, it's good to be here. So, I was a last-minute addition to the show, and Tom called me up, and he's like, "Hey, Seth, want to be at a comedy show tonight?" Well, actually, no. He said, "Want to be at a comedy show?" And I said, "Well, sure. When is it?" He's like, "Well, it starts in about 15 minutes. What do you say?" Actually, I'm a 6-time alumnus of the show, of the class. I'm sorry. You know the old saying, if at first you don't succeed, well, maybe you're not very good at it. The first time I ever performed stand-up comedy was at the Laugh Stop in Newport Beach, back in 1990. And boy, the laughs sure did stop. Well, the show went fine, but the club closed a few years later. Now, a string of bank robberies in Orange County was the work of an orthodontist. So, apparently he was trying to straighten out his finances. Not who you think of as a bank robber, is it? But I'm sure he was used to wearing gloves and a mask and receiving large sums of money. The way they finally cracked the case, they looked very closely at each of the crime scenes, and they noticed one thing in common. Scattered everywhere were tiny little rubber bands. We have an orthodontist on our hands. So I live in Wagon Wheel Canyon, just a short 20-minute ride on horseback. In 8.5 years, I have not seen a single covered wagon or a station wagon. But I saw someone walking their cat. I really did. All right, so what else do I want to tell you here? I grew up in Tustin, best known for nothing. I had a privileged upbringing with my own chef, Chef Boyardee.
Oh, yeah.
I was a late bloomer in every respect, except for one, making wisecracks. My dad would say, "A light on in an empty room serves no purpose." And I'd say, "Not true. It's a very effective way to annoy you." I once did data entry, but I was fired, though, because I was caught enjoying the work. My main hustle is math teacher, and we're known for being interesting, engaging, funny.
Yes, we are.
Less than 1% of the time. I'm what's known as an outlier, which means I'm atypical. A good word to describe me in general. Now, students will ask tough questions in a class like pre-calculus. Like they'll say, "Mr. Sultan, when are we ever going to use sine and cosine in real life?" And I'm like, "Look, you will. A loan application has places to sine and cosine." You may have found this, that math and science ignorance show up everywhere. I've heard educated people say, "That company is light years ahead of the competition," which means the company is billions of miles away from the competition. Or they'll go, "You know, on that issue, he's done a 360, which means on that issue, he's made no change." So my side hustle is teaching comedy traffic school. How many have been? Okay.
Twice.
A very regrettable and forgettable experience. Now, the most common feedback I get is, "Hey, Seth, that was a good class, better than last time, but I hope I never see you again." And sometimes they do. They're called repeat offenders. So, I was actually approached by a guy with a crisp $100 bill, and he goes, "Seth, what do you say you let me go?" And I said, "Absolutely not. That's illegal, it's unethical, and it's $200. Sometimes when I check students' ID, they're wearing the exact same thing as in their driver's license picture. It's almost like they thought that it wasn't a valid ID unless the clothing matched too. Let's see here. I notice you have a long sleeve plaid, but you're wearing a short sleeve. I'm sorry, I can't accept this. I'll have to dismiss you from the class. Now, one time I noticed a student had her Social Security card in her wallet, and I said, "Look, I don't mean to meddle, but that's really a bad idea." And she goes, I know. And she actually said in front of the class, "I'm not worried, though, because with my credit scores, any of the accounts would not be approved anyway." Wow. Credit scores that, -250? So, Then she said, oh, my fiance drinks when I drive. Who would that ticket go to? I'm like, it would go to both you and your future ex-husband. If you're stopped for a carpool lane violation, you're usually asked, may I see your license, registration, proof of insurance, and your passenger, please? You're like, yeah, let me pop the trunk. My mother-in-law's back there. I don't know. I'll take the applause. I don't know why it's called a carpool lane. You don't need a carpool. You just need another live human being, an infant, a child. Worst case scenario, it could be a teenager. Teens have the highest crash rate, followed by Asians. No, I'm kidding. They have the highest math scores. I'm totally kidding. You know who the second highest crash rate is? Anybody know? Seniors.
Yeah.
They may forget to signal for a turn. They may forget to cancel the signal for a turn. They may not use a booster seat like they should. If the top of your head doesn't quite reach the top of the steering wheel, you have a problem. Now, I happen to have this sign handy, and I found that people really appreciate it. They're like, I get the full thumbs up. Now, do you see people talking on cell phones still?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? Well, I tried flashing this sign once, and I was greeted with middle digital communication. Cell phone use is extremely risky, and if you're caught, there's a permanent record of the call or the text to make sure you're found guilty. I think we can call these people ADD, America's dumbest drivers. Okay, so if you are stopped for suspected DUI, you're asked, have you had anything to drink this evening? Just say, no, may I see a wine list, please? Did you know you can no longer you can no longer provide a urine sample if you're asked for a sample of your bodily fluids? Whose idea was this? What's the one thing you have to do if you've been drinking? It's not drive, it's pee. So, that could be probable cause right there. You just go like, okay, do you have to pee? No? Okay, you can go. Did you know the open container law doesn't apply if the container's empty? It's like the law is saying if you're going to open a beer, God damn it, finish it. Red light camera tickets are $500, and unfortunately no longer in San Clemente. Gives new meaning to money shot, doesn't it? A picture's worth 1,000 words. Now 2 pictures are worth $1,000. So here's a tip for you guys, and this is really good information. They can't use it if the picture doesn't clearly identify the driver. So next time you approach a stale yellow, if you think you won't make it in time, at the very last moment, unleash a blast of windshield washer fluid for maximum blurriness. The other thing you could do, wear a disguise, a wig, mustache, Halloween costume. A long time ago, someone actually received a red light camera ticket in the mail requesting payment of $150. So he wrote out a check for $150, took a picture of the check, mailed the picture to the court. And in return, he received a picture of handcuffs. True story. But they couldn't pull that prank today. You know why? Because the age of electronic banking, they would just deposit the check using the picture. All right, so I'm going to leave you with these wise words. Keep your eyes on the road, keep your hands on the wheel, and keep your windshield washer fluid topped off in case you have a photo finish. Thank you very much.